After the movie What the Bleep, producers and directors created these bleep conferences all around the world. And all the researchers and scientists and people in that particular movie, we would go to different places and we would present for about an hour and a half or 2 hours, and then we would have these panel discussions. And we did that movie really for two reasons. First reason was to have people question the nature of reality. Is reality the way we see it? And secondly, inspire them to want to really try it out to see if they can produce an effect in their life when they're at cause. Try it out, become the scientist in your own life. And so, I was traveling pretty much in 2 different cities every single weekend. That I would leave on a Thursday night or a Friday morning and get to one place, stay there till Saturday, do a talk, and then Saturday evening or Saturday afternoon I'd fly to another place and present on Sunday. So I was pretty much a super busy guy. But I paid attention to the questions that were asked in the panel discussion because I wanted to see where people were at, where they were meeting truth and information at in their own personal experience. And there were 2 or 3 questions that were continuously asked that I thought were really great questions. The first question is, okay, your thoughts create your reality. I get that. So how do you do it? I thought that was a really good question. Yes? Yeah. So they were taking philosophy now and wanting to personalize it or apply it to have some experience. The second question that people asked is, okay, I get that my personality creates my personal reality, and I have to change my personality to change my personal reality. Why the hell is it so hard to change? And I thought that was a really good question. And the third thing that people asked me was, how do you do it? How do you do it? What do you do? What do you do personally? So I started teaching these Friday night and Saturday workshops all around the world. And I was, mixing quantum physics with a little brain science, with brainwave technology, demystifying the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, and giving people an opportunity to apply it. And for the first year, nothing happened. Nothing really happened out of the ordinary. But at the end of every event, someone would raise their hand and say, hey, that was really fun. Can you teach another level? So what we do in my business is that we respond to people's needs. That's all we do. And so then we said, okay, let's create another level. So we created what's called a level 2 event. And we started doing these level 2 events all over the world as well. And during that time, I didn't see the needle move very much. I didn't see people have any outstanding breakthroughs. But at the end of the level 2 event, people would raise their hand and say, can you teach another level? So then we created a level 3 event. And at that level 3 event, just before we went to the first level 3 event, I had one of the most profound mystical experiences of my life. The morning of the day I was leaving. And when I finished the level 3 event and people asked, can you teach another level? I said to them, I don't know anything else. I don't know anything else. I'm done. But what was happening was that I started to interact with that quantum field, and I was having full-on sensory experiences without my senses. Whatever's happening between my ears was more real than anything that I ever experienced. And if consciousness is awareness and awareness is paying attention, I was so aware in that realm that my brain felt like it was more energized. And so after that level 3 event, I started to think about ways I could explain the mystical experience and to demystify the process so that people had within their reach all the tools to apply it to their lives. So I waited a period of time, and then we taught a level 3.5. Because I think my kids would have disowned me if I did a 4. Now, in that 3.5 event in Estes Park, Colorado, way up in the beautiful mountains in the Rockies there, I watched a community of people that looked just like you connect. And it was such a monumental moment for me because I started to see things that I had never seen before. And it was like someone took a big blanket of energy and went like that. And all of a sudden, I saw this energy come right off this audience and go right into my chest and right up my spine and out of the back of my head. And then when I felt that energy, it came right back out and went right back into the audience. And I was moved to tears. I mean, it was a profoundly humbling energy. I was so moved that I couldn't finish the close on that Saturday evening. I just had to walk off the stage. I was speechless. And I was doing my best to get to my room as fast as I could. And I was really emotional. And when I got to the door to stick my key in the door, I look and here's the hotel guard and security guard, and here's the manager of the event. And they want to know if I'm giving out ecstasy at my events. That I'm giving out drugs because everybody's way too happy. And everybody that evening that I talked to said the energy of the room was palpable. It was outstanding. And I witnessed it and I experienced it. And so things started to change after this event because people said, you have to do another event. And so we did a level 3.5 pi. I made it up. And in that event, right around this time, people were starting to send emails to our website. And the first line of every email was exactly the same. You're not going to believe this. I was diagnosed with this condition. I was struggling with it for years. I had an abusive father who was an alcoholic, and I had a lot of trauma in my past, and I didn't even know that I was angry and resentful and hateful all the time. I was unconscious that I was living by those emotions. And all of a sudden, I started to unmemorize those emotions, and all of my acid reflux, all of my digestive problems, all my chronic pain went away. I just forgot about them. I was too busy being somebody else. And I knew that people were starting to upregulate and downregulate genes. Are you with me still? Yes. Opportunities, synchronicities, winning the lottery, jobs, people struggling to get something to happen, struggling to get something to happen, struggling to get something to happen. Finally, they start doing the work, and it just happens without any of their effort. And this was exactly what I needed to continue teaching because it was a lot of time away from home, a lot of time away from friends and family, a lot of time on the road, lost luggage, missed flights, logistics, the different time zones, everything that goes along with it. And when I started seeing those emails, I got more passionate and more excited. And at that level, 3.5 pi, I watched a woman stand up in a wheelchair who had MS for 10 years and walk right across the front of the room. And I watched another woman in that same audience, had MS, dancing around, who had numbness and no feeling in her right foot, all come back. And I knew in that moment that we were signaling new genes in new ways. And I knew that all the work that I had done in my own personal change after my injury and my accident, and during that time, nobody said no to doctors. And that my own personal evolution, my own personal dark night, my own personal transformation was so relevant for me to be where I was at that time in my life. And that when I started studying spontaneous remissions and I interviewed all those people that were diagnosed with very serious health conditions, that they were treating conventionally or unconventionally and they were staying the same or getting worse, and all of a sudden they got better, and I began to ask them the questions to figure out what was the cause that was producing that effect, and studying their content and coming up with the principles that I thought were the most common principles that allowed people to move from one state of mind and body to another state of mind and body, breaking the habit of the old self, reinventing a new self. unlearning and relearning, pruning synaptic connections, sprouting new connections, unfiring and unwiring, refiring and rewiring, unmemorizing emotions that are stored in the body, and then reconditioning the body to a new mind and to a new emotion, deprogramming and reprogramming, pulling their energy out of the familiar past and investing their energy in a new future. That the principles that were so important to me, where mind and matter were somehow related, because that was the commitment I made to myself when I was laying there, overcoming my own self, that if I was ever able to walk again, I'd spend the rest of my life studying the mind-body connection. That was the deal I made with that intelligence. And so when I started studying all of this, I had to go back to school and study neuroscience to be able to figure out what was going on for people. But I wasn't finding the answers in typical textbooks. But the answers were on the cutting edge of science with neuroplasticity and epigenetics and the quantum model of reality and psychoneuroimmunology. All of those things point the finger at possibility. And after my own injury, I retreated from the world. I sold everything and just wanted to ask the big questions and figure out the answers. So when I started interviewing all those people and coming up with those commonalities, those common states that they executed, my question was, if I used that and understood it, and it happened for other people, if I used it on sick people or well people, we should see the same results. We should be able to reproduce that model. And that's what I was using in that level 1 event. And then all of a sudden, as we started to advance the understanding and fill in more gaps, and I don't know if I was saying it better, or people were listening better, or more informed, or whatever happened, but all of a sudden, the dam broke loose. And I knew then, when I wrote Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, that it was the how-to, and that's what people wanted. They wanted to know how to apply it. So then, after that 3.5 pi event, we did one more event called 3.5 pi a la mode. And there were 7 spontaneous remissions from disease in Colorado Springs. And these were people that had medical tests to prove it, and I knew right in that moment that we were signaling new genes in new ways in real time, and that people had the capacity to do this within a short amount of time if they retreated from their life and disconnected from their known world. And after that, I changed everything up, because I didn't want to teach that beginning level anymore. I didn't want to have all these different levels. I wanted to teach progressive workshop, give people the basics, have them understand the introduction, give them the course when they register, get the intensive, give them all the knowledge they can, and then I wanted to create events where I can start measuring people's changes. And so we started measuring quantitatively using quantitative EEGs. People's brains, when they came to the event, we measured their brain before they started. They went through 4 days of training, and I measured their brain at the end of the event. And I wanted to know that the change wasn't just in their mind, it was in their brain. That I wanted to measure brains in real time during meditation and see that process unfold. And if I could understand what I was looking at, understanding the measurements, that information, I would have more information to teach transformation the next time. And I can tell you without a doubt, as I said earlier today, that your brain never changes your brain. That the program doesn't change the program, that the ego works a long time to change the ego. That the personality doesn't change the personality, it takes a long time. That matter takes a long time to change matter. And that only when you become pure consciousness, that consciousness is the epiphenomenon of matter. And I can tell you that when you're analyzing your life within some disturbing emotion, you're going to make your brain worse every single time. I can tell you, when you forget about yourself, forget about your body, forget about your life, forget about your face, forget about your problems, forget about time, is the moment you connect to that unified field. And I can tell you that we can predict it and we can teach it really well. And so I started teaching these advanced workshops, and I think we've done 14 or 15 to this date. And we started out naming those events Information to Transformation. And I believe that if you give people sound scientific information, and as I said earlier today, science is the contemporary language of mysticism. Science demystifies the mystical. And the moment you start talking about religion or culture or tradition, you divide an audience. And science unifies, creates community. And those people learn that information, and if they can repeat it to a person next to them, they're wiring it in their brain. And as they install that neurological hardware, they're setting themselves up for an experience. And if we can set up the conditions in the environment and give them the proper instruction, a certain percentage of those people are going to get their behaviors to match their intentions. And when they do, they're going to have some type of transformation. And if I could measure that transformation, I should have more information to teach transformation the next time. Would you agree? And if I learned even more information and measured it even more from transformation, I would be able to close the gap between knowledge and experience. In our first 2 events, we did a quantitative study, and 93% of the students that we measured had a more than 80% change in their brain for the better. I can tell you that the latest research that we just did made scientific history because our students know how to shut off the critic in their head, the default mode network in their brain. Intrusive thoughts that are always chattering, the critic that's on your shoulder, the voice in your head is called the default mode network. And we reproduced the study at Yale University did, and we found out that when you shut off that analytical mind and you turn down the volume to that default mode network, it stays turned off for the remainder of the day. And we saw that in our students. We've seen them heal themselves of Parkinson's, anxiety, depression, genetic disorders. We've seen all kinds of brain injuries and brain traumas change when the person begins to connect to that unified field. Are you with me still? And so we measured over 8,500 brains now, and we've made scientific history over and over and over again, and those people look just like you. They weren't monks, they weren't scholars, they weren't people that have meditated for 40 years or 30 years. Some of them never meditated before, go figure. And to me, that's even better, because they walk in innocent, not expecting anything. We measured probably 4,000 or 5,000 hearts now. We want to teach people how to have a coherent brain, and we want to teach them how to have a coherent heart. And it's those combinations of those 2 elements that begin to create reality. And I want my students to know when they're there and when they're not. And I want them to be able to sustain that internal state independent of the conditions in their environment, to be able to regulate and control their emotions. And our students are getting better and better and better at it, and they're able to keep their heart in a state of coherence for an extended period of time. We've measured the energy of the room. We've measured the energy around people's bodies. We've measured the energy centers of their bodies. We've measured the neurotransmitters. We've measured their genes. We've measured their immune system. We've measured all kinds of things, and we keep seeing anomalous changes taking place in our student, supernatural changes taking place because they are becoming supernatural. Are you with me still? And so I want to show you some of that research, just a little bit, to show you how powerful you really are. How's that sound? So, one eye on the screen, one eye on your partner, okay? I'm going to lower the lights. I always say, in an age of information, ignorance is a choice. Think about how many paradigms are breaking down at this time in the world. We are living in a time of extremes. Whether it's the economy, whether it's the political model, whether it's the journalistic model, nobody knows what the truth is anymore. Whether it's the educational model, the religious model, the medical model, the environment, it's all coming apart because something else has to take its place. And people are informed now. When I walk out into an audience, I used to have to work quite a bit to get into people, to make a difference in them. Now everybody's informed, and we can just start at a much higher level. And so in an age of information, ignorance is a choice. You don't need a doctor, you don't need a teacher, you don't need an educator, you don't need a governor to find information. You can find it on your own. You don't have to go through an authority any longer. You become your own authority. Are you with me still? So would you agree that the same thoughts always lead to the same choices? The same choices lead to the same behaviors? The same behaviors create the same experiences, and the same experiences produce the same feelings and the same emotions, and those same feelings and emotions drive your very same thoughts. And your biology, your neurocircuitry, your neurochemistry, your hormones, and even your genes stay exactly the same. Are you with me still? But you would have to agree with me that new thoughts should lead to new choices. New choices should lead to new behaviors. New behaviors should create new experiences, and new experiences should create new feelings and new emotions, and they should inspire new thoughts, and that's called evolution. Are you with me still? So I say that your personality creates your personal reality. Your personality is made up of how you think, how you act, and how you feel. It's also your state of being. So if you're thinking the same old way, acting the same old way, feeling the same old way, your personality stays the same, and so does your personal reality. Yes or no? Yes. So then as you begin to think differently, you begin to act differently, and you begin to feel differently, now all of a sudden you're creating a new personality, and of course the effect is you'll see a change in your personal reality. Yes or no? Yes. So most people try to create a new personal reality as the same personality, and it doesn't work. Nothing ever changes. You literally have to become someone else. This is the river of change. Here's the old self, and here's the new self, and you don't just leap over there in one leap. The hardest part about change is not making the same choice as you did the day before. And the moment you no longer make that same choice, you just stepped into the river. And get ready, it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel unfamiliar. It's going to be unpredictable. It's going to be an unknown. And most people, when they feel that unknown, that uncertainty, they return back to the familiar thoughts, the familiar emotions, the familiar behaviors, and they say, this feels right. Crossing the river from one state to another state is the biological, the neurological, the chemical, the hormonal, the genetic death of the old self. But on the other side, you got to ask yourself, if I'm going to reinvent a new self, what thoughts do I want to fire and wire in my brain? What behaviors do I want to demonstrate in one day? Let me rehearse them and let me demonstrate them. What emotions can I teach my body to live by and condition my body to the future instead of the past? And if you keep doing it, you'll cross that river, and there'll be new opportunities, new experiences, a whole new life, because you went from one state of being to another. Are you with me still? So the workshops were called Information to Transformation. You give people sound scientific information, they begin to learn it, they make new connections in their brain. If they can repeat it to someone else, they're wiring it in there. They're installing the hardware. And if you keep having them repeat it and keep having them go, experience more and more, all of a sudden now the hardware becomes a software program, starting to fire and wire, and all of a sudden you're assembling new neurological networks, and you're stepping into an experience. And all of a sudden, if you give them the instruction on how to apply it and set up the conditions in the environment, if they get their head and their heart working together, they'll have some type of transformation. I know this to be the case. If I could measure that transformation, I'll have more information to teach transformation, and I can close the gap between knowledge and experience. Are you with me still? Check this out. This is beta brainwaves. When you're in beta brainwaves, what happens is that all of your attention is on your outer world, on your body, and on time. And when you come to your senses and you wake up in the morning, the moment your eye begins to perceive light, the light that's coming in that hits the optic nerve sends a signal to a nucleus in the brain that causes the brain to make a chemical called serotonin, a neurotransmitter. And all of a sudden you become awake. Are you with me still? The moment it gets dark outside and there's an inhibition of light, the less light that your optic nerve is receiving sends a signal, same signal to the nucleus in the brain, and all of a sudden it sends a signal to the pineal gland, a different signal, and all of a sudden the pineal gland takes serotonin and turns it into melatonin. And melatonin is a nighttime neurotransmitter. Are you with me still? So Sarah gets you up and Mel puts you to bed. Yes? And for the most part then, when your brain waves are in beta brainwaves, your brain is pretty much producing quite a bit of serotonin. Are you with me still? Yeah. So then you're trying to create meaning and coherence between what's going on in your outer world and what's going on in your inner world, and your senses plug you into reality. Are you with me still? So then you're paying attention to your body, you're paying attention to the temperature of the room, you're listening to what I'm saying, you might have pain in your back, you may be a little hungry, your bladder may be a little full, and all of a sudden you're processing all this information, and the brain's got to make sense of everything you're seeing and smelling and tasting and feeling and hearing. And if you were to measure the brain waves when you do that, it's beta brainwave patterns. Are you with me still? Yeah. Now, when you're freaked out, neurotic, and emotional, over-judgmental, resentful, and impatient, those beta brainwaves go into a very high pattern, 3 times as high as normal beta brainwaves. Now, you're overly vigilant. You're overly anxious. You're overly focused. You are overly angry. Your brain is aroused. And no new information can come into your nervous system that isn't equal to the emotion, which means it's not a time to learn when you're in survival. It's not a time to open your heart, to be vulnerable, to trust in the unknown. Remember that predator around the corner? I went down, backed up, we got in my car, drove down the hill, and the guys were putting the horses in. We grabbed the shotguns, we went back up there, and it was a huge cougar with a big tail. And she was saying, "Don't you come any closer, I got my cub right here." So then, of course then, in survival, I'm not St. Francis. I'm not going to sit there and open my heart. I don't trust myself that much. I'm not that good. But St. Francis might be good at it, but I'm not going to take that chance when I'm in survival. And so when people live in survival, then their brains go into a high beta state, and it switches on, and they stay aroused. And so, of course, they got to take a drug. Of course, they got to do something to slow their brain waves down because their brain is switched on, and they can't sleep in that state because there's a predator there. And the survival gene switches on, and as cortisol levels go up, melatonin levels go down. And our students, when we measure their melatonin levels, they're higher than the average person. They can dream. So then when you close your eyes and you go into a meditation and you're eliminating the amount of light that's coming into your eyes, your brain waves should naturally slow down because your brain chemistry is slowing down. Yes or no? And if you become aware of your breath and you start relaxing a little bit more, the more you feel safe and relaxed, and you're processing less sensory information from your environment. You're not feeling as much things with your body because you're sitting still and not experiencing anything. And you're not moving around in time. All of a sudden, your inner world starts becoming more real than your outer world. You're paying attention to your thoughts, pictures, images, yes or no? Yes. And in that state where you're imaging, your brain is in alpha. And if beta is that your outer world is more real than your inner world, in alpha, your inner world starts becoming more real than your outer world. Are you with me still? That's the imaginary state. And normally, when you learn, you have to go from beta to alpha. I'm watching all of you. Developing concepts and ideas, and you're in low beta right now. There's no lions out there. You're pretty relaxed. It's safe to learn. And then all of a sudden, as you start to gather information, you pause for a moment, and you naturally switch into alpha. And when you switch into alpha, you're making that model or that picture in your mind. You're holding it there, and you're freezing it. And the brain is consolidating it neurologically. Which means then, when you're in high beta, you never switch to alpha, which means you stop learning and you're only feeling. Are you with me still? And now we're headed for a genetic destiny. Are you with me still? So then, if your body starts to fall asleep and your mind is awake, look how slow those brain waves are. That's theta. And if you condition your body to be the mind and your body's asleep, it's no longer the mind. And you can have instantaneous change go on. And people that are overly analytical, that come into this work and they're trying so hard, you know what I say to them when they say, "Oh God, I'm trying so hard"? I just say, listen, you know when you get ready to go to sleep at night, what do? You get comfortable and you stop thinking. That's all you do. And you start opening up to this blackness behind your eyes, and you start relaxing. All I'm asking you to do is relax your body and keep your mind awake. That's all I'm asking you to do. And that's when the door between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind opens up. And what separates the conscious mind from the subconscious mind? Your analytical mind. So then when you're switched on in beta and you're overly analyzing, you're moving further away from the operating system where true change can take place. That you have to slow your brain waves down to enter the operating system of the subconscious. Are you with me still? Yeah. So check this out. Children, the first 2 years of their life, their brain waves are in delta. They're sound asleep with their eyes open. That's why a newborn baby can't stay awake for more than 7 minutes at a time. So children, for the first 2 years of their life, the majority of their brainwave patterns are in delta. That's why they sleep so much. And then all of a sudden, between the ages of 2 and 6, your brainwaves pick up a little bit more, and now you're in theta. Now check this out. That means the first 6 years of your life, you're completely in your subconscious mind. And you haven't developed your analytical facilities to filter information. So money is the root of all evil. Big boys don't cry. Little girls should be seen and not heard. You're not very good at math. You're a lot like me. Money doesn't grow on trees. What's wrong with you? Are you stupid? It's that information that begins to program children subconsciously. Are you with me still? Because they're wide open to information, and children, all of their attention is on their inner world of feelings. And when they notice changes in how they feel, they start to associate it with something in their outer world. And as they interact with their outer world more and more, their brainwaves pick up because they keep feeling differently, and they use their senses to pay attention to what caused it. And they start developing memories. Are you with me still? Yes. So somewhere between the ages of 6 and 12, the brain moves into alpha, depending on the person. My daughter, I think, was in alpha till she was 15. She was seeing fairies, and she was in the world of imagination, and that's great. And the longer you extend that period of alpha, the more creative we are. And somewhere between the ages of 6 and 7 or 8 or 9, the child begins to develop its analytical facilities. They start realizing there is no Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny never existed, and my parents aren't as cool as they think they are. They start figuring that out really fast. Are you with me still? So then, after 12 years old, now they move into beta brainwave patterns. Now, low beta brainwaves are about 13 to 15 cycles per second. It's 13 to 16 vibrations per second. And mid-range beta is about 16 to 22 cycles per second. Most of you are in low-level beta. If I said to you, oh, whoops, I forgot to tell you, there's a test tonight. And if you don't pass the test, you can't leave. You might switch into a little mid-range beta. And when you're in high-range beta, look how much higher it is than mid-range beta. And this is when the brain is fully aroused and it's in an alarm state. And people spend the majority of their life in this state. So if the purpose of meditation is to get beyond the analytical mind and slow your brain waves down, when people are in this state and they're in survival, they're not going to want to close their eyes and slow their brain waves down because there's danger out there. Are you with me still? Yes. It goes against the survival gene. So in order for you to create then, you have to lay down the very thing you used your whole life to get what you want for something greater to occur. And that takes some awareness. Are you with me still? So now, this circle represents your mind, and when you're born, you're totally subconscious mind. We know that because your brain waves are in delta. And you learn by these positive and negative identifications and associations that give rise to your habits and your behaviors. A good example of a positive identification or association is when a child is hungry and she cries out. She feels uncomfortable and she cries out, and the mother comes and feeds her or changes her and takes care of her, and she learns to associate crying out with being fed. And the mother is the anchor that allows her to begin to cry out, to communicate, to create a behavior. Are you with me still? And when she feels better, she pays attention to the mother's voice, the smell of the mother's milk, and she's bonding and connecting. Are you with me still? A good example of negative association is when you put your finger in the electric socket. You notice a change in your internal chemistry, and you pay attention to what caused it. And as you begin to interact in your environment and you start learning the rules of the environment, when you start feeling pain, when you start feeling these different sensations, when you feel altered inside of you, you pay attention to what caused it outside of you, and you develop more behaviors and more habits. Are you with me still? And the brain waves pick up because you're paying more attention to the outer world in this process of trial and error. Are you with me still? Somewhere between the ages of 6 and 9, you develop your analytical facilities, analytical mind. And it separates your conscious mind from your subconscious mind. Now, your conscious mind is 5% of your total mind and brain. It's made up of logic and reasoning, which gives rise to your creativity, your will, your faith. But the subconscious mind is 95% of who you are by the time you're 35 years old, and it's made up of these habits and behaviors. And most people, their analytical mind is always working, and because the brain is divided in half, it's thinking good, bad, right, wrong, past, future, yes, no, male, female, good, bad. Are you with me still? Now, there's nothing wrong with your analytical mind. I love my analytical mind. That's how we learn. That's how we ethically maneuver in our life. That's how we navigate. But when the analytical mind is overly analytical because the hormones of stress are causing it to overanalyze and try to predict the future based on the past, now we're driving our brain further and further away from the operating system and higher into beta brainwave patterns. Are you with me still? Yes. So then the whole purpose of meditation is to get beyond the analytical mind and enter the operating system where these unconscious habits and behaviors exist, and change those limited states of mind and body to unlimited states of mind and body. How many people are with me? So then in order for you to do that, you have to cross the analytical mind. And some people have a very, very thin veil between their conscious mind and their subconscious mind. And that means then they can slip past their analytical mind very easily. Are you with me still? And then other of us have a little bit of a more dense veil between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, and we analyze everything. But there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that when it comes time to create, you just got to put it in the back seat. And you got to know how to slow down your brainwaves. Are you with me still? So then, check this out. The more analytical you are, the less suggestible you are to information. And your suggestibility is your ability to accept, believe, and surrender to information without analyzing it. So think about, we're going to talk about this at the advanced workshop for those of you who come in. Think about you watching television. Are you in trance? If you're in trance, which most people are, if you're in trance, you're in alpha. And you're getting programmed. That's why it's called programming. Right in your face. You need a flu shot? Really? Really? There's bugs with your name on it that's going to go get Vanessa and attack her? Don't you know that all those people that are worried about the flu to get the flu shot always get the flu anyway? Because they're giving their power away to something outside of them, and that's their belief. Those bacteria are called opportunistic bacteria because they're waiting for an opportunity for your immune system to be compromised. I don't believe that germs make me sick. I believe that I make me sick. So then if you're sitting there and letting that information go past you without analyzing it, it's going right past your brainstem and signaling your autonomic nervous system and programming it into a destiny. You don't think so? It's the way it is. And so then, the more suggestible you are to information, the less analytical you are. Would you agree also? And I'm sitting there watching, I don't watch television that much. When I turn on the TV and I look at these television commercials, I say out loud, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You're going to have projectile vomiting, dizziness, fainting, hemorrhaging, heart attack, stroke, hallucinations, possible death, but ask your doctor if this is right for you. Are you fucking kidding me? And you know what? I'm not going to accept, believe, and surrender to that programming, and that's not going to slip past my analytical mind. The bug, the bird is going to pop up, and I'm going to say, no way. You understand, yes? So then, you will only accept, believe, and surrender to information equal to your emotional state. And the more in trance you are, the more suggestible you are. Are you with me still? So then, your brain waves, when you're in high beta, look how far away you are from the operating system. So then as you slow your brain waves down and you open your attention and you open your focus, and you focus on the wave instead of the particle, when you focus on energy instead of matter and objects and things and people and places, your brain starts to slow down and you'll cross right through the barrier of the analytical mind and you'll enter those states. Now you're in the operating system where true change can take place. Are you with me still? Yes. So our journey is from beta to what? Alpha to what? Beta. And theta to what? Delta. And we would say then that beta and alpha represent the conscious mind, yes? Yes? And in the average person, alpha, theta, and delta represent the subconscious mind, yes? Yes? And would you agree that when you wake up in the morning, your brain waves go from delta to theta to alpha to beta, and you come to awareness? And when you go to bed at night, you go from beta to alpha to theta to delta. But when you go to bed at night, most people just slide right down that scale really fast. And I'm asking you to become aware what each one of those different domains are. Are you with me still? And I'll show you now that people in our work are in deep delta and they're still conscious. Their brain is sound asleep. They're deep in the unconscious. Are you with me still? So then the flow of consciousness, as you slow your brain waves down, is out of your thinking brain, out of your neocortex, and as you slow your brain waves down, you're entering the subconscious parts of the brain. The limbic brain that keeps your heart beating and digesting your food, organizing all these functions. And when you make contact with it, you know what it says? Hey, I got this. You don't know the first thing about how to take care of your blood sugar levels. You don't know how to take care of your genetic expression. Just step out of the way. I got this. And so when you become nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, and no time, your conscious mind is merging with your subconscious mind. And now you are programming your autonomic nervous system. Are you with me still? So then, when we measure brain waves, we're not just looking for any type of brain waves. We want coherent brain waves, waves that are in order, in rhythm, in cadence, synchronized. When they're in order, in rhythm, in cadence, and synchronized, they're more powerful, they're more focused than when they're incoherent and they're out of rhythm, out of phase. It's like a group of people all playing drums at the same time with no rhythm. That's incoherence. Are you with me still? So a laser is a very coherent form of light, and these incandescent lights, these cans up here, produce incoherent waves. So look how powerful a laser is. It's condensed, it's collimated, and it's coherent, and it's focused. Are you with me still? So then when you're living by the hormones of stress and you're shifting your attention from one person, one thing, one body part, one problem, one experience to another, and if you keep shifting your attention while you're juiced up by the hormones of stress, as you shift your attention from one to the next, you're going to activate those different neurological networks very, very close together, and all of a sudden your brain's going to start functioning very incoherently when you measure the brain waves. Are you with me still? When you take your attention off of matter, off of objects, and you go from a narrow focus to an open focus, from a convergent focus to a divergent focus, when you focus on nothing, space, when you focus on energy, when you open your focus, all of a sudden you're no longer thinking and analyzing, and different compartments of the brain that were once subdivided start to synchronize and hold hands and form bigger communities. And all of a sudden the brain starts becoming more coherent and starts expressing a greater level of wholeness. Are you with me still? And you feel more like yourself than you had in a long time. Are you with me still? So check this out. Coherence is health from an energetic standpoint. Incoherence is disease. And according to the quantum model of reality, all disease is a lowering of frequency and an incoherent or scrambled message. So check this out. If you were to take coherence and overlay it over incoherence, if you can keep that coherent energy going, coherence should begin to entrain incoherence, and all of a sudden that's called healing, creating order where there's disorder, or raising the frequency of matter. Are you with me still? Or causing matter to respond to a new mind. So this is the best way that I can describe brain coherence. Let each one of these metronomes represent a neurological network in your brain. Are you with me still? Coherent or incoherent? That's a lot of chatter. That's the person changing channels, has no attention span, shifting their attention from one person to the next, from one problem to the next, from one thing to the next, from one emotion to the next. All those networks are going off. It's a house divided against itself. And that person is focusing on their outer environment, on objects and matter and people and things. Are you with me still? Poke the person next to you. But you know what? If you keep opening your focus, you keep opening your focus, you keep opening your focus, and you keep doing it over and over again, coherence is going to consume incoherence. We've measured it thousands of times, and some people were in their 80s. Some people were overweight. Some people were women that did it. Imagine that. All shapes, all ages, all sizes, all cultures are able to do it when they open their focus. You can't tell me you're too old at this point. I've seen too many old people connect to that intelligence. And they're no longer watching Wheel of Fortune, I can promise you. So if you keep opening your focus, coherence is going to consume incoherence. Are you seeing that? Yes. And as it consumes incoherence and coherence starts becoming the natural order, you become more organized, more whole. Are you with me still? So check it out. The brain is becoming more and more coherent. Do you see that? Now, in time, if you keep opening your focus, all of a sudden more and more coherence takes place. But you know, There's always one stubborn neuron over there that just insists, I can't, it's too hard, I'll never change, something's wrong with me, I need a psychological evaluation, I'm on the wrong medication, I'm too much like my mother, nobody loves me. That's just a voice in your head, that's an old circuit that's no longer firing with the other ones. It's struggling to hold on, but if you keep opening your focus, opening your focus, opening your focus, we've seen this thousands of times, coherence is going to consume incoherence. Are you with me still? We've measured this thousands of times, and that's what you're doing when you're opening your focus. How many people understand?
Yes.
And don't you know that I know that you don't like doing it at times because it takes too long? Oh my God, and the space. But don't you know that we've measured it enough times that all you have to do is just get this down, and if you're coming to the advanced workshop, you are going to unify with the unified field, and you are going to be baptized by that intelligence. And it is a loving intelligence, an intelligent love. And our students can sit for periods of time where they're no longer their body. I watched a sea of coherence in Germany in our advanced workshop. I watched them connect. They were statuesque. They were gone. Their body was there. They were elsewhere. No one moved. They were connected. And when they brought that energy back into their body, they were raising the frequency of their body. They were connected to something greater. So then if you got survival emotions that are running you, they'll cause you to feel more like matter and less like energy, more like particle, less like wave. Are you with me still? Yeah. So survival emotions slow down the frequency of the body because you're drawing from the invisible field of energy and turning it into chemistry. And in time, that field shrinks. And so now you're more density and less energy. You've tapped this invisible field of light and information. Are you with me still? Yes. Come on.
Yes.
So then you slow down your vibration, you feel these limited emotions. Guilt and shame and unworthiness and fear and anger and judgment, all of that stuff. But guess what? You reach a certain point where you get beyond polarity and duality, get beyond separation, and you start feeling more wholeness, more love, more oneness, more connection, and your heart starts to open, and you're beginning to connect to a faster frequency, and I have 750 people in the room that are all raising their energy and creating a coherent electromagnetic field around their body. And that field is intersecting with the person next to them. Just like brains and neurons become coherent, all of a sudden the energy of the room becomes coherent. Are you with me still? Yes. And when that energy starts intersecting, it creates bigger amplitudes. And bigger amplitudes is more energy in the room. Are you with me still? Yes. So check this out. We got this sophisticated instrument from the University of Russia, St. Petersburg. It's called Sputnik. It measures energetic fluctuations in the ambient field of a room. This is the energy, the first day of our first advanced workshop. This is 3 days later. See the change? Take a look at this event. This is the second advanced workshop. Here's the baseline on Wednesday night. Here's Thursday. Look what happened to the energy of the room on Thursday. Which way did it go? Why? Because they were drawing from the field to build their own electromagnetic field. They were breaking the bonds energetically with their past, present reality, and they were calling energy from the field to them to build their own individual field. And they broke right here. We left the room, and the energy dropped. Come back the next day. They start almost where they peaked. They break, and look at that. They break through. We leave the room. The energy drops. Look at this. We start the next day right where we left off. We drop down and we break through. This is the keynote speakers right here. We have a 9-fold increase in energy in 4 days. Are you with me still? Yeah. Take a look at this event. This is Cancun in 2014. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Take a look at this event. This is Carefree, Arizona. This event's called Becoming Supernatural. And those people became supernatural. This is Wednesday, this is Thursday, this is Friday, this is Saturday. Consistent breakthrough. You with me still? Yeah. Take a look at the morning meditations in Germany in 2015. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Take a look at this event in Los Cabos last year. This isn't even Wednesday, this is Thursday. Check this out, we're at 6.1 and 6.6. This is this event, we're at 13. We're twice as high than we were than any other event. This is Thursday. Wednesday's down here, this is Thursday, this is Friday, look at Saturday. They blew the roof off that place. Now check this out. We do a walking meditation in our advanced workshops. You have 4 types of meditation: a sitting meditation, a standing meditation, a walking meditation, and a lying down meditation. And if you come to the advanced workshop, you're going to learn them all. And in the advanced workshop, I am so guilty of this in my own personal life, where I connect to the field, change my energy, I feel amazing, and then I get up and I leave my energy right there and I return right back to the program. And so I said, okay, we got to be able to do this with our eyes open. We got to stand up and change our energy and then walk in that energy. Walk like that person, breathe like that person, move like that person, feel like that person, and begin to become it. And so check this out. Don't be intimidated. These red little dots every 30 seconds are telling the energy of the room on that Thursday. Now check this out. This has happened in 5 different advanced workshops. See this blue? This is the energy in the room while they're out on the beach doing the walking meditation. The energy of the room is raising while they're a quarter of a mile away. Why? Because don't you know when you change your energy, it affects every area of your life? Because the energy that you were in the chair you were sitting in is going to change. And so if it changes your past, it should change your future as well. Are you with me still? We reproduced this in Italy just a week or so ago. We reproduced it in Cancun 1, in Cancun 2, back in October and November. We reproduced it in Germany this past year. Every single time, the energy increases while our students are somewhere else. And in Italy, this past week, or when we were there, the energy was highest. Aside from the last day, it was highest the whole week when they were in that walking meditation. They were affecting every area of their life with their energy. Are you with me still? Yes. Check this out. This is Germany this past summer. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And they're up in the 10s. I don't even know which one this is. No, this is Cancun 2. Check it out. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Great group of people. So now, thoughts are the language of the brain, feelings are the language of the body. How you think and how you feel creates your state of being. Thoughts are the electrical charge in the quantum field, feelings are the magnetic charge in the quantum field. How you think and how you feel broadcasts an electromagnetic signature that influences every single atom in your life. Are you with me still? So then, you have different types of ligands, ligar meaning to bond, that communicate between cells. You have neurotransmitters that connect information from neuron to neuron. Are you with me still? You have neuropeptides that then begin to become the molecules of emotion that begin to send chemical messengers to the different glands of your body to epigenetically signal those different hormonal centers for you to feel exactly the way you were just thinking. Are you with me still? So neurotransmitters influence neuropeptides, and neuropeptides influence hormones. Are you with me still? And you will learn tomorrow how to bless these centers of information. Do you notice the words I'm using? Yes. These are centers of information. They have their own energy, they have their own frequency, they have their own information, their own consciousness, their own chemistry, their own glands, and their own individual brains. And they are valuable centers of information. But if you keep thinking thoughts that keep endorsing your anger, your frustration, and your impatience, or you're thinking thoughts of suffering and pain, you keep signaling this center. And if you're overly indulged in pleasure and whatever else, you're beginning to put most of this energy in this autonomic nervous system and causing it to be mismanaged. Are you with me still? So when you rest your attention in each one of these centers, you're acknowledging that center. If you become aware of the space around it and you bless it for the greatest good, loving it into life, you should create a coherent field of energy around each one of these individual brains, just like you do when you do it around your big brain. Are you with me still? And shouldn't it draw from a new field of coherent energy that sends a coherent message to the cells and tissues and organs in individual areas? There are people in this room that had uterine cancer, uterine fibroids, uterine tumors that blessed their energy centers, and those tumors disappeared. Go figure. So everything emits light and information. Everything has its own electromagnetic signature, and so does the body. So then we're checking these energy centers through the autonomic nervous system. We're measuring the alignment, how well they communicate with each other, and the size or the volume, the amount of energy in there. That's a person, the first day of the retreat. 3 days later, it'll change. You see the difference? Whoops, a little trouble with the truth here. Take a look at this one. Take a look 3 days later. See a change? Now, this person doesn't look too bad, right? Take a look at her just a few days later. See the size change? So her autonomic nervous system's tuned up to the divine. Are you with me still? This is before, this is after. See the change? Now look at the energy around the body. This is before, this is after. You see the change? They're emitting more light and more information. They're more wave and less particle. Check that out. A little trouble here. Take a look at it just a few days later. Take a look at the energy around his body. Look at this. See where it's all gapped? Look at this. He's emitting more light and more information. Whoops, little trouble right here. Look at the difference between the fourth center before and the fourth center after. We could say that person's a little bit more in love with life. Would you agree? That's before and that's after. And I said to the scientist who developed this technique, so how did they do that? Just tell me, how did they do that? How? He said they couldn't do that with their conscious mind, which means they had to change their brain waves and enter the autonomic nervous system, the operating system, and program their autonomic nervous system. And that's what you're doing when you're slowing your brain waves down, becoming conscious in that subconscious system, planting a seed in possibility. Are you with me still? Yes. Now, that's not too bad, but look at it after. That's beautiful. See the change? Before, after. Look at the change in energy here. And I said to him, how long does it take for people to change their energy like this, a normal person? He said, probably 6 weeks. They have to fast, eat vegetarian diet, drink a lot of water, sleep a lot, do yoga, all this stuff. This is 3 days later. Are you with me still? In Russia, they use this instrument when they're working with people that have very, very serious health conditions that need to have surgery. And they image the field around the body, and if there's not enough energy around the body, they don't do the surgery because there's not enough energy to heal. So then we do quantitative studies of the brain. We're bringing in a new team of scientists at this event, and they're super cool. And we measure 16 different channels in this one, but we're up to 20 channels in the brain now. And we're measuring alpha, beta, theta, delta, the amount of coherence that's going on in your brain, how your brain is phase lagged or connected to other areas or not connected to other areas, the areas of your brain that are overworking, underworking. We got a lot of information that we can gather from doing these scans. Now, don't panic. This is a short course in neuroscience. Are you ready? Yes. Come on, you can do this. Yes. So then, when you see a lot of red in these type of scans, it means the brain is overactive or hyper-aroused. Are you with me still? Yes. Now check it out. The thicker the red line, the further away from normal you are. You got that? Yes. So then if you're really thick red lines in there, you're 3 deviations away from normal. If you have a medium-sized line, you're 2 deviations. A little thin line, you're just a little away from normal. Are you with me still? So then red represents too much energy in the brain. You got that? Now this is delta, this is theta, this is alpha, this is beta, and all of this is high beta right here. Are you with me still? Yeah. Now, if you see a lot of blue in the brain is tuned way down. There's no energy in the brain. So this is like changing channels very quickly, and this is like different compartments of the brain aren't talking to each other. Are you with me still? And so if you see thicker blue lines, it represents further away from normal than thinner blue lines. Are you with me still? If you see no red and you see no blue, that's normal, whatever that is. You with me still? So check this out. This is a person with severe anxiety. What do you see? You see blue in the frontal lobe, in the front of the brain on all levels. What do you see in the rest of the brain? A lot of energy in the back of the brain. There's a lot of chatter going on in that person's brain. Look, but the frontal lobe is the executive. It's the boss. It's the CEO. So the boss is out to lunch, and the rest of the brain is having a big party. It's severe anxiety. Check it out. 3 days later in meditation. See the change? And look at this beautiful dual brain processing. This person healed their anxiety in 3 days. Another person with anxiety. Check it out. A lot of red in the brain. You see that? Severe anxiety. 3 days later, check it out. You see a lot of red in there? They heal themselves of anxiety. Now, this is a person with Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease is deficiency in dopamine in the brain. When there's not enough dopamine in the brain, the upper motor neurons can't communicate well with each other, and it causes involuntary tremors in the body. Try as you may to control it with your conscious mind, you can't. Are you with me still? So then what do you see in the brain? You see all this red, which means the brain is overactivated, it's overstimulated. Yes? So then that overactivated energy in the brain is sending an overactive signal in the body, and the body is experiencing tremors or spastic paralysis. Are you with me still? Come on. So take a look at this person 3 days later. You see much red in that brain at all? Now, we also do a study called the QEEG, Quantitative Electroencephalograph. Now, don't panic. You with me? Yes. So check it out. When you see a lot of blue in the brain, it's 3 standard deviations below normal. It's cooled way off. There's no energy in the brain. You got it? Yes. Come on. Yes. You see a lot of red in the brain, it's tuned way up. There's too much energy in the brain. You got it? Yes. If you see green, it's normal. So then if you see maybe light blue, a little lighter than dark blue, you're moving towards normal. If you see even lighter blue, you're moving towards green. Yes? If you're green and you start moving towards yellow, it's getting a little higher. Yes? And if you're moving towards orange, it's getting even higher. And all of a sudden, you keep changing your brain waves by measuring different areas based on the amount of energy that's in there. Are you with me still? So check it out. This is the same person with Parkinson's disease. This is 1 hertz, 2 hertz, 3 hertz, 4 hertz. This is delta. 5, 6, 7, 8. This is theta. This is alpha. This is beta. What do you see in alpha and beta? All that blue, yes? What does that mean? The brain is turned way down. There's no energy in the brain to control the body. Are you with me still? This person has problems with attention. They have problems with language. They have problems with memory. They have problems with happiness. They have problems with coordination, with concentration, with learning. Because there's no energy in the brain. Take a look at just a few days later. See any blue in there? So as she began to change her brain waves, when we showed her this, we said, check this out. You have all this red in your brain. That's anxiety. And she said, that's really funny because when I'm anxious or afraid, my tremors get worse. And we said, now you know the emotion you need to work on. Keep doing the meditations. So we chose her as a case study, and that was February 20th, and then May 9th, a few months later, she's still doing her meditations and her brain's still improving. Look at that. Then all of a sudden, on the end of May, her mother dies and her sister has a stroke in the same week. She stops doing her meditations, she's got to fly out of town and take care of family affairs, and look what happens to her brain right here in high beta. She's back to the stress response, yes? And a lot of her symptoms come back. So we say to her, don't worry about it. Life happens, take care of your family affairs. When you get done, come back and start the meditation. So she starts the meditation again. Look at June 27th. You see the improvement already? Then take a look at July. 90% of this person's Parkinson's disease went away by thought alone. I just saw her just a few months ago, and she's walking around like a normal person. Are you with me still? This is a traumatic brain injury. This is a man who went through the windshield of a car. His son was driving the car. His son died instantaneously. He's wheelchair bound. He has a spinal cord injury and had a traumatic brain injury. What do you see in the brain? The trauma has turned the brain way down, has shut it off. He has no energy to control his body. Take a look at his brain just a few days later. You see a change? Check this out. This is his QEEG scores. He has problems with language. He has problems with attention. He has problems with happiness. He has problems with learning new things. He might even have a little problems with seeing. All of a sudden now, take a look at his brain a few days later. What's green? I want you to know that this man, when I first met him, was pretty much paralyzed from the nose down. Now he has bladder control. He has bowel control. He's moving his hands. He's crawling. He's pushing weights with his feet, and he's stood up more than once. And I want to be very clear, very clear that it wasn't chemistry and matter changing matter. It was energy that was changing matter. And he keeps saying to me, Dr. Joe, I have no idea what's going on. And I always say the same thing to him. The moment you know what's going on, it's over. So, this is the CEO of a company in Phoenix, Arizona. She's an attorney. She's a mom. And look what she has. She has those intrusive thoughts, the default mode network in her brain. She's seeing pictures and she's chattering about them. And when she chatters more, she sees more pictures. And she's caught in a loop. And the analytical mind is going off. Take a look at her brain just a few days later. You see a change? So check this out. Here's her Z-scores. Look at this red and high beta up in here. Take a look at her brain 3 days later. You see any red in there? So then we tell her to keep doing her meditations. This is her brain just a few months later. Remember how red it was here and how red it was here and how red it was there? Yes? Yes. Now this is high beta. This is 21 to 30 cycles per second. This is very high range beta. Look at all this red in here. This is severe anxiety. Take a look at her brain 3 days later. You see any red in there? Now take a look at her brain a few months later. This person has no anxiety. You know what she says? I trust myself now. This is depression. Look at all this blue in the brain. The brain's turned way down. A few days later, look what happens. See the green? This is high beta. Look at all this blue. A few days later, it's all green. Depression is gone. We've healed so many people with depression. This is another person right here. Look at all this blue in here. Look at the brain afterwards. Look at all this green here. Now look at, this is high beta. What do you see? Brain shut off. It's turned way down. And look at her brain just 3 days later. All of her depression's gone. This is called the strip chart. So what happens is we can measure between seconds, between this interval and this interval, the number of humps and valleys, the number of cycles per second. And it can tell us if a person's in beta, in alpha, in theta, in delta, in gamma. It can tell us where they're at. Are you with me still? This is the front of the brain, this is the middle of the brain, this is the back of the brain. That's a normal brain scan right there. You with me? All of a sudden, we start seeing this in our work. Does that look normal to you? That person's having an inner event. Whatever's going on between her ears is absolutely real. This person had 227 times the amount of oxytocin circulating in her blood. She was in love with life. And look at this super coherence that's taking place in that area. That's where you store memories. She's storing that event as a long-term memory. Are you with me still? Yeah. Check out this woman. Whole brain is in gamma. She's having an orgasm in her head. You know what this lady said? Another one of these and I don't need a husband. You're going to learn how to do that tomorrow. Are you with me still? And you know what? You can't tell me you're too old to do this, because I've seen people that connected that were in their 70s and 80s. You can't tell me you're too out of shape, because I've seen people of all shapes and sizes go for it and connect to that intelligence. Are you with me still? Yes. Check this out. Third-generation Holocaust survivor, suffering terribly his whole entire life. Psychotherapist, done all the types of psychotherapy and analysis, couldn't get beyond himself. Check that out. Does that look normal to you? No. He's having a full-on sensory experience without his senses. Whatever's happening between his ears is absolutely real. He cannot make his brain do that. It's happening to him. Do you understand? So what would happen right now if your senses were heightened by 25%? Everything you were seeing, everything you were smelling, everything you were tasting, everything you were hearing, everything you were feeling. If your senses were heightened by 25%, so would your awareness. Would you agree? Yeah. And if awareness is consciousness, when you are more aware, you're more conscious. And consciousness can't exist without energy. So the moment you become more aware and more conscious, the energy in your brain begins to process a whole new stream of consciousness. And we're capturing that over and over again in our students. Are you with me still? So now, if you have two waves coming together and they're coherent, if they're coherent, when they come together, they'll add up. Are you with me still? So when they come together and they add up, they're going to create a bigger wave, yes? And that bigger wave then is going to create a higher amplitude. Are you with me still? And the higher the amplitude, the higher the energy. Yes or no?
Yes.
So if you have two waves that are incoherent, that are out of phase, and they're vibrating at different frequencies, and they come together, when they come together, they cancel each other out. That's called destructive interference. Are you with me still?
Yep.
So incoherence then diminishes the amount of energy in the brain. Are you with me still?
Yep.
And so when those two energetic frequencies come together and they're out of phase, then all of a sudden you see less energy. You got that, yes?
Yep.
So now check this out. We started measuring people's energy, and when you see that strip chart that looks like a big drawing of Crayola crayons, where you can't read anything, we're like, how are we going to figure out the energy here? So we found out a way called the joint time frequency analysis. And joint time frequency analysis measures the amount of energy in the brain. And what you have to know is that normal is 10 to 60 microvolts of energy. Are you with me? So then when you're a little excited, it goes up to 60. When you're a little bit relaxed and you're inhibiting certain activity, it goes down to 10. But when neurons fire, it's roughly 40 microvolts of energy. So 40 is pretty much the midline. Are you with me still? So check this out. We're measuring this person 2 seconds into their meditation. That look normal to you? Getting a download of information. He's at 86 microvolts of energy squared. What's normal? Okay, 40 seconds into the meditation, here comes another download. He's connecting to the field. Now he's up to 3,185 microvolts of energy squared. Are you with me still? 53 seconds, another download. Now the brain has to recalibrate. When the nervous system gets that amount of energy, it has to go into quiescence. It has to recalibrate. And then all of a sudden, we know it's going to come again. And here we go. 2 minutes and 7 seconds in, he's at 3,189 microvolts of energy squared. At 3 minutes and 58 seconds, another download of information, 2,216 microvolts of energy. We start to see the energy build in the brain. It has to settle back down again. And as it settles back down, we know it's going to happen again. And all of a sudden, here we go. Until we see this. That's 9 minutes into his meditation. Whatever's happening between his ears is absolutely real. It's more real than this right now. Are you with me still? Yeah. So that's normal. You see a little difference? Yeah. A little different, yeah? Yeah? So he maxes out at 4,520 microvolts of energy squared. What's normal? 40. Take a look at this woman. 6 seconds into her meditation, she's already up to over 500 microvolts of energy squared. Check this out. We're starting to see an event take place. We know something's about to happen. We can forecast it. Now she's at 6,321 microvolts of energy. But look where she is, 1.96 hertz. That's delta. Her body is sound asleep while she's having this experience, but she's wide awake. Are you with me still? Yeah. Check this out now. 48 seconds, she's back up to 3,549 microvolts, and she is in deep, deep delta. Uh-oh, here we go. 7 minutes and 21 seconds. We know she's going to pop now. We know it's going to happen. She's up to 395,000 microvolts of energy squared, and she's at 0.17 hertz. She's in deep delta. And we now know that when a person is experiencing something like this, the moment they react to that energy and they move up into alpha or into beta, the amplitudes drop because they resist and they contract and the energy doesn't flow through their nervous system. And when they just relax and surrender and trust, they stay in that deep level and the divine has an agenda for them. Are you with me still? Yes. So then, here we go. A few seconds later, she's downloading a lot of data. She's at 324,000 microvolts of energy, and look, she's below delta. She's in deep, deep delta. Uh-oh. 7 minutes and 55 seconds. How do you measure that? Really can't, can you? So she's now at over 600,000 microvolts of energy. And look, she's at 0.09 hertz. She's deep into delta. She's out of the way. She doesn't even know that she has a body. She left her body behind. Her body's in a catatonic state. It's no longer associated with her, or her associated with it. Then 8 minutes and 16 seconds. That's so beautiful to me. Of course, now the nervous system has to recalibrate, 167,000 microvolts of energy, and she is in deep delta. And look at this. I wanted you to see this. See, I compressed these waves, listen how much, 3,000 times. I shrunk them down 3,000 times, compressed them 3,000 times just to check the amount of coherence that's going on in there. Does everybody look like they're dancing to the same beat? Every single part of the brain is in a holistic state of coherence. Now, what happened here? When we saw this, we ran around and went like, did we lose her? But what we found out was that the computer program wasn't built to process that amount of energy. It just wasn't built to process that amount of energy. So she flattens out here for a period of time, and then here it goes again. 9 minutes and 37 seconds, she's up over 500,000 microvolts of energy, and she's in deep, deep, deep delta. And then I compressed the waves. This went from 9 minutes to 15 minutes, the same snowstorm. I compressed the waves again at 15 minutes. Look at all of this coherence in here. The whole brain is globally in a state of order and coherence, and then all of a sudden, she flatlines again because the computer can't handle that amount of energy. That's a good problem to have. And I want you to know that you only need one of these experiences and you will never go back to business as usual. You cannot. You are now connected to something greater and it transformed you in some way. And we've got so many of these now. So what's normal? 40. All right, take a look at this person. Last one. Check it out. 53 seconds. She's in alpha, coming attractions. Here we go. 3 minutes and 27 seconds, 6 minutes and 44 seconds, 6 minutes and 50 seconds. She's up to 1,100 microvolts of energy squared, and she's already in delta. You with me? Yeah. 6 minutes and 55 seconds. That look like a normal amplitude to you there? That looks about 50 times normal. Now she's at 149,000 microvolts of energy squared. She's still in delta. You with me still? 7 minutes and 9 seconds. She's at 500,000 microvolts of energy. She's still in delta. 7 minutes and 33 seconds. The brain has to recalibrate. It drops down to only 283,000 microvolts of energy. What's normal? Okay, so she's still having a good day. Yeah? 7 minutes and 41 seconds. We know she's connecting to the unified field. Remember, that's normal. I just want you to see a little difference there. Now she's at 500,000 microvolts of energy, and she's still in deep delta. 9 minutes and 5 seconds, the brain has to recalibrate again, so she's at 658,000 microvolts of energy. Here's that magic number at 0.09. She is out of the way, and she is surrendering to a mystical experience, and her body is responding to it. That's 26,342 times normal. Now check it out, 9 minutes and 13 seconds, she maxes out at 1,000,000 microvolts of energy squared. She had a good day. And she had a profoundly mystical experience. And now we can say that experience was real. We are quantifying subjective experiences objectively, and we have so many of these now, and we can predict when it's going to happen. And the scientists that come and study us say, oh, that's a seizure. She's going to have a seizure. And seizures look nothing like that. Only small areas of the brain in a seizure do you see irregularities, not coherence and not those high amplitudes over the entire brain. That person has a whole new stream of consciousness flowing through them. And whatever's happening between their ears is more real than anything that's ever happened in their past. They are more aware of it. Are you with me still? So then think about this. When you have an inner experience that becomes more real than any past external experience, it's carrying an amplitude of energy that's greater than the hardwired programs in your brain and the emotional addiction in your body. You should be biologically changed, yes? So here you are cruising along as your normal state of being. You have a traumatic experience. You're shocked, you're betrayed, and that experience has a heightened emotion. And that heightened emotion causes you to pay attention to what caused it in your environment, and you emboss and print that information neurologically in your brain. And so now, once it's neurologically wired in your brain, it produces an emotion that begins to change your body's chemistry. And now, how you think and how you feel is your state of being. You're in a different state of being. You're altered in some way. Yes or no? Yes. So then, we could say then, your body is now in the past, neurologically, chemically, and emotionally. Yes or no? So then we create beliefs about ourselves and our life by past experiences. They are the thoughts we think neurologically and the feelings that we embrace chemically within the biology of our past memories, what ultimately becomes our state of being. So now think about this. When you have an experience that takes place in your outer world and it alters you emotionally, you're going to pay attention to what caused it, yes or no? So what if you have an inner experience that's carrying an amplitude of energy that's greater than that past external experience, greater than the trauma, greater than the betrayal, greater than the shock. And it's capturing all of your brain's attention. The moment you feel different inside of you, emotionally, energetically, you're going to pay attention to the pictures that's being created inside your brain. And you are going to literally change your brain and body in a twinkling of an eye. Are you with me still? Because experience enriches the brain and produces an emotion. And when you have an inner event that's carrying an amplitude of energy that's greater than any past external event, it will recondition your body to a new mind and rewire your brain. And we could say, in a moment, your past no longer exists. You are biologically changed. Are you with me still? Yes. Look, we had it happen just in Italy. A medical doctor suffering with eczema since she was a child decides to go for it and stop analyzing and trust. And boy, her whole brain lit up while we caught it right in real time. And she had a very profound mystical experience, and it reflected it in the brain. And it proved many, many of the theories of what we're teaching. And you know what happened? 3 days later, they send me a picture of her arm, and all of the eczema is gone. She connected to a greater frequency, a greater energy, and if all disease is a lowering of frequency, she just raised the frequency of her body when she began to connect to that unified field. And the unified field is the field of oneness, of wholeness, and it's reflected in her biology. And that heightened energy is carrying information, and it's organizing matter to a new mind. Are you with me still? Yes. So the past now no longer exists. Becomes a profound experience that you never forget. So typically in our life, our outer world changes our inner world. Yes or no? Yes. If we start doing the work, the inner world starts changing our inner world. Yes? If we persist and we keep doing the work, the inner world should start changing our outer world. Wouldn't that be a good idea? Yes. So then we measure heart coherence. And we say that the brain thinks, but the heart knows. Elevated emotions like gratitude, love, joy, inspiration, peace, wholeness, trust, knowingness, presence. These are not intellectual things, they are feelings. When you start feeling them, you start activating this center, and it begins to release 1,300 different chemicals that begin to repair the body. And when you activate this center, you go from selfishness to selflessness. You want to give, you want to take care of, you want to nurture, you want to forgive. That's where your energy is. So then when you're living by the survival emotions, you tend to be more in suffering, you tend to be more in doubt, you tend to be more insecure, more worried, more fearful, more sad, more guilty, more shame, and of course, that's more selfish states. Yes or no? So then, if you were to rest your attention in the space that your heart occupies in space, you're acknowledging that center, yes or no? If you begin to create an elevated emotion like gratitude, and you sustain it and broadcast it beyond your body in space, the moment you're feeling gratitude, you should think corresponding thoughts to how you feel, yes or no? Because you're accepting those thoughts because they're equal to your emotional state, and you're activating different networks of neurons in your brain to produce a different level of mind, yes or no? So then, once you get enough neurons firing in a sequence, pattern, or combination, when they fire in tandem, you get an internal representation, a picture in your mind of who you think you are. The moment you see that picture and you accept, believe, and surrender to the image of yourself without any analysis, neurotransmitters in the brain begin to influence neuropeptides made in the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus then sends those chemicals to the pituitary gland, and all of a sudden you're sending a whole electrochemical signature down in your body. And where's it going? Right back into your heart. And those thoughts now are generating more chemicals equal to your emotional state. Are you with me still? And all of a sudden, you start to feel more in love with life. You start to feel more overjoyed. And when you feel that feeling, you broadcast it beyond your body in space. And if you keep doing that and you feel those feelings, your brain is spying on your body, and you'll accept, believe, and surrender to the thoughts equal to that emotional state. Are you with me still? And now you're thinking equal to how you feel, firing and wiring new circuits in your brain and changing your mind. And when you get enough networks of neurons firing in a sequence, pattern, or combination, when they fire in tandem, all of a sudden, you get an internal picture in your frontal lobe. When the thought that you're thinking becomes the experience, the end product of an experience is called an emotion. So as you hold that thought, that image of yourself, and you pay attention to it to the exclusion of anything else, all of a sudden, the experience-producing emotion is made in the chemical brain or the emotional brain. And now neuropeptides continuously signal that same center, and you feel more in love with life, more unlimited, more free, and you're going to generate more corresponding thoughts. And all of a sudden, you have a new state of being going on between your brain and your heart. And you're more kind, and you're more loving, you're more caring, you're more patient, you're more present, because that is your state of being. Are you with me still? Yes. So, I was driving in Manhattan with one of my corporate trainers a little ways back, and she was driving me to an event, and we were talking literally about gratitude in that moment. And I look up and I see this sign in Manhattan. And I look at her and I say, Rose, this is a sign. Now, remember the lady that had 1 million microvolts of energy that I just showed you? Everybody was worried that she was having a seizure, but she happened to be wearing a heart rate monitor to measure her heart coherence. When you're frustrated and impatient, when you're angry, your heart beats in a very arrhythmic state. It's very incoherent. When you're in gratitude, when you're in love, when you're in joy, it starts to beat very coherently. So check this out. Each one of these blocks are 5 minutes. While she's producing 1 million microvolts of energy, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, almost 30 minutes, she's in complete heart coherence. All of a sudden, she goes into a little gratitude here, and then she goes back in love with the experience. And that lasts 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, almost 40 minutes. You with me still? Then she goes way down in a delta here, and all of a sudden, watch what happens. Almost for an entire hour, while she's processing 1 million microvolts of energy, she is in love with the experience. It's so loving, she doesn't want it to end. And then all of a sudden, right here, she goes into a little gratitude. That's gratitude right there. And then all of a sudden, for another 45 minutes, back into love. If she was having a seizure, her heart would look nothing like that. Are you with me still? Yeah. Take a look at this person. This is super coherence. This is super coherence. Look at that, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55 minutes in super coherence. Next meditation, down here, for 45 minutes back into heart coherence. The next day and the next meditation, another 50 minutes back into heart coherence. Are you with me still? Is it becoming a habit? Now check this out. She wasn't even meditating at this point. I said to her, what the heck happened here? For a whole hour, she's in, look at this, perfect heart coherence. This is supernatural. The heart math people, the scientists look at this and say, my God, this is a supernatural reading. And I said to her, what happened? And you know what she said? I was getting ready for bed. I was moving my stuff around, and all of a sudden, my heart just opened up. It was so intense, I had to sit down. And she said, I just had to surrender to it. This love that came over me, I had no idea that love was this profound. I had to lay on my back, and for a whole hour, she just was in the presence of love. And look at this. She rolls over on her side, and then she falls asleep. Not a bad way to end the day. And she's connected to that unified field. And your heart is your connection. Are you with me still? So check this person out. They're in the middle of a meditation, and they're in a state of gratitude. At the exact same time, in the exact same day, in the exact same meditation, another person is going into heart coherence. At the exact same time, in the exact same day, in the exact same meditation, another person is going into heart coherence. Another person, exact same time, exact same day, exact same meditation, going into heart coherence. Another person, exact same time, exact same day, exact same meditation, going into heart coherence. Another person, exact same time, exact same day, into coherence. Are you with me still? Yeah. So check this out. This is a person with a really weak heart. See, there's very little heart rate variability. Look what she's able to do for 15 minutes. That's amazing. She's in her autonomic nervous system to do that. She's controlling her heart, not with her conscious mind. She is in the programming of the autonomic system. Are you with me still? Look at that. Even for 5 minutes, I'll take it. That's changing her biology right there. Look again. They did it again a second time. And so our students then are able to do this consistently. Now, I want to show you one of our advanced workshops to give you an idea of what it looks like, so you can see. Now watch how much these people suffer, because they're suffering terribly. Now, in our advanced workshops, these people create mind movies of their future. They develop a movie with a song, and they work with a kaleidoscope to create trance in their brain. And when they go into trance, they move from the kaleidoscope to their mind movie. And when you're in trance, you're less analytical, so you're not going to say, how's this going to happen? It didn't happen last time. That's not going to be there. And they're programming their subconscious mind into a future. They're manifesting objects out of nothing. We're doing all kinds of things in our advanced workshops, and these people are craving, they're passionate about the unknown.